Hi everyone, I'm Emily Leeks and this video is all about the head positions that you will hear me talk about in our somatic sessions. And the reason I'm making this video is because I know from my own personal experience, I did find it quite confusing at first. And we talk about the head positions and we have a go at doing them. And sometimes we don't want to do it that way. It doesn't feel natural to us. And it's a little bit, pat your head, rub your tummy, right? So this is for anyone else who's feeling the same way as I did when I first came across this. So I'm going to go sideways on for you. And if you haven't yet watched the video, or if you don't have an understanding of the 3 reflexes in somatics, then go and watch that one first, because this one will make a lot more sense then. Okay. So when we are doing our somatics, we talk about the green light reflex and the red light reflex, and those are the 2 that we're going to focus on just now. So when we move into the green light reflex, we're talking about arching our lower back, pulling the shoulders back, arms roll out, and it's really an extension of the muscles of the back, which would also pull your head into that curved position, right? But we don't walk around, even if we're very green light and we have a lot of contraction in our back, we don't walk around looking up at the ceiling as a general rule. It just isn't a workable position. So, because we are living beings, we are somas, what we do is we end up looking forwards. So I may have this contraction in my back, but actually I'm looking forwards. So what's happened here is as I arch my back, my pelvis is tilted forwards and my head has also tilted forwards. So they're actually tilting in the same direction, yes? Like 2 wheels of a bike. So pelvis tilts forwards and head tilts forwards to look in that forward direction. Okay. When we go the other way, when we practice the red light reflex, where we collapse in the center and we tighten those belly muscles and we round out the lower back, shoulders come forwards. Again, we might see that kind of full collapse in the front with the chin tucked down, arms are rolled in. However, again, as living beings, it's very difficult if you're moving around and looking down at the floor. So even if we have a lot of contraction in the front, a lot of that red light reflex going on, we end up looking forwards. So we get into this kind of posture. And again, what's happening here is the pelvis is rolling back, letting our back sort of round out, and the head is also rolling back. So again, they're rolling in the same direction. And that's the pattern we use when we're doing our arch and flatten and some of our other movements based around that. So I'm going to come down to the floor to show you. So you can see me. So as I rest here on the floor, I'm going to come into an arch, and I could do this and hold my head very rigid, but there's a point at which I can't go any further. But if I allow myself to come into the full green light posture, that pattern, my head and my pelvis will tilt in the same direction. So as my pelvis rolls down towards my feet, my chin also tucks towards my chest, and my head and my pelvis have both rolled towards my feet. And then I can release that and come back to my resting point. So this is what it looks like with my arms down. As I arch, pelvis and head roll down towards my feet. And then as I let that go, you can see them coming back to this kind of central position. And then if I go the other way, so I'm going to be flattening my back. This is where the pelvis rolls up towards the head. So as I flatten my back, and again, I can do this with quite a rigid sort of head posture, but there's a point at which I can't go much further because everything's holding on tight up here. So I'm going to come into that red light pattern, flattening the back, and this time my chin tips up towards the ceiling. So again, pelvis and head have rolled in that same direction, and then as I release, they come back to that sort of resting position for me. So I do that again without the hands there so you can see. As I flatten my back, pelvis rolls up towards my head and chin tips up towards the ceiling. Head and pelvis are going in the same direction. And you can see that collapse in the center, and that sort of, if I rolled my arms in as well, you'd probably get a good sense of that red light reflex. And then coming back. And then we have other movements where we kind of play with that a little bit. So for example, in the arch and curl, we do full flexion. So we have the arms behind the head, and as we flatten the back, instead of rolling in the same direction, we go the other way. So we tuck the chin, and now you can see the whole sort of front of my body is tight. And that's a different pattern. And then we come back down. So we're getting a different pattern there that we can practice so that we can get more flexibility. And then there are other movements that get the head going the other way into that kind of full extension. All right, so I hope that's helped clear it up a little bit, what we're talking about when we're talking about the head movements and those reflexes and how that all kind of fits together. And if you have questions about why it is that maybe when you flatten your back, your head wants to go the other way, I'm going to answer that in another video. So keep an eye out for that. See you soon.